When Jenna said, "I need a break to figure out what I really want," I heard the sentence that always hides a second, quieter clause, and I don't want to be the bad guy. I kept my face still, like a lake before a storm, and said, "Take all the time you need." I didn't argue. I didn't bargain. I didn't ask for a deadline or a rule book. I just stood up, paid for our half-eaten ramen, and walked her to her car as if I were escorting a stranger back to a taxi after a first date that didn't click. We'd been together 2 years, met at a trivia night, bonded over obscure 90s sitcom facts, fell into that comfortable domestic rhythm of shared Trader Joe's receipts and Sunday laundry. The week before, she had laughed at a video of a guy proposing with a ring pop. Now she was looking at my shoulder instead of my eyes, rubbing her phone screen with her thumb like it might give her courage. I texted her later once. "Thanks for being honest. I'll give you space." For clarity, a break means we're not exclusive, we're not in contact, and we handle our own plans. She heart-reacted. No further questions. The next morning, I started editing my life like a cold, open cut. Canceled the couple's wine tour I'd booked for her birthday and transferred the flight credit to my name. Paused our shared Spotify family plan and removed her from my Costco membership. It wasn't revenge. It was housekeeping. I boxed her things on the top shelf of my closet. Sweatshirts, a hairdryer, a ceramic mug with J in gold that I always washed by hand because the handle chipped. I didn't touch the photos. There's something obscene about deleting a life while you're still living it. I went back to the gym at 6 a.m., a habit I'd let rot under cozy dinners and Netflix cliffhangers. I met a friend for pickup basketball and missed every shot for 20 minutes. I booked therapy, not because I was broken, but because I wanted to understand why I'd accepted almost for so long. On day 3 of the break, her best friend Priya texted me a photo. Jenna at an outdoor bar, shoulder to shoulder with a guy I'd seen in her stories before. The work friend, Ryan, who loved IPA flights and spontaneous hikes, posted every Saturday at the exact same golden hour. I stared at the picture the way you stare at a dent you don't remember getting. Priya didn't add commentary. She didn't need to. It wasn't proof of anything illegal, but it was proof of timing. I didn't respond. I didn't forward it. I dropped my phone into a kitchen drawer and let it buzz inside the dark like a trapped wasp. If Jenna needed time to figure it out, I could be generous with time. I could also be generous with boundaries. My only rule was simple. I would not audition for a role I'd already played to standing ovations and polite reviews. If I came back, it would be because I wanted to, not because I got called back. On day 6, she texted, "This is harder than I thought." I typed, "Same," and didn't send it. Instead, I wrote 3 words that felt like they'd been waiting their whole lives to be used. Take your time. And then, because I'm not a saint, and because I own a calendar, I penciled in the date rent was due, the day her storage box would need a destination, and the Saturday I'd be in Napa, using the birthday trip she wouldn't be on.
The thing about a break is that it's really just math. Subtract contact, add silence. Carry the one truth you didn't want to admit. Her lease was in my name. Jenna had slid in halfway through, Venmoing her share monthly, equal parts convenience and promise. On day 8, I emailed a polite update. "Hey, since we're paused and your stuff's boxed, could you let me know by the 25th if you'll need me to help line up a sublet? Totally fine either way." It read like customer service. She replied an hour later, "Can we not make any big decisions yet? I'm still processing." I drafted a kind response explaining that logistics weren't a referendum on feelings, but on timelines. I deleted it and called my landlord, who confirmed what I already knew. I could end Jenna's month-to-month arrangement with 30 days' notice as long as her belongings were available to pick up. I didn't pull the trigger. I put the form in a folder labeled "If Necessary." That night, my group chat lit up with a screenshot. Ryan had posted a photo. Craft beer, patio lights, 2 glasses, Jenna's bracelet visible near the rim like an Easter egg for anyone paying attention. The caption, "Unexpected nights are the best." The comments were a chain of inside jokes that probably felt harmless to everyone who didn't know me. I wasn't angry. I was insulted by the laziness. If you're going to recruit a cover story, at least get creative. The next morning, Jenna texted, "Could we meet up? I think I owe you a conversation." I suggested Saturday afternoon at the cafe where we first met. Neutral ground, good parking, bad pastries. She arrived in a gray sweater I'd bought her last winter, like she was trying to cosplay continuity. "I'm not with Ryan," she said before I had sat down. "We hung out because I needed to talk to someone who isn't you." I nodded. "You don't owe me a trial," I said. "You asked for time. I gave it. I'm using mine too." She blinked, surprised by the absence of a scene. The barista misspelled my name the same wrong way they always had, and it felt weirdly comforting. "I don't want to lose you," she said, and for a second I felt the muscle memory of caving. But then she added, "I just need to be sure." It landed like a receipt. I took a breath. "I'm not a place you can store your indecision for free," I said gently. "Here's where I'm at. If we try again, there's no breaks. There's therapy, schedules, effort. If you need more time, take it, but I'm moving forward. I'll help with logistics, no drama." Her jaw tightened. "So you're punishing me?" "No," I said, smiling. "I'm practicing self-respect." We didn't fight. We didn't hug. She left with a to-go cup and a face that said she expected either a tearful plea or a cinematic exit. I gave her the utterly boring middle, paperwork and boundaries. That evening, I signed the notice to end her month-to-month arrangement effective the following month. I scheduled a moving company for a 2-hour window in case she wanted help. I took my sister to the winery trip. We clinked glasses over a hillside that made the world look like it had a plan. Jenna posted a black and white quote to her story about healing and choosing yourself. I didn't watch it. I muted her for 30 days, the way you mute a smoke alarm after you've already put out the fire.
2 weeks later, my buddy Marco held a backyard barbecue to celebrate his promotion. Jenna and I shared friends. Avoiding her forever wasn't realistic. I showed up with potato salad and the relaxed posture of a man who has memorized his lines. Jenna arrived late with Priya, who shot me a small, apologetic smile. Ryan was there too, invited by a coworker of Marco's. The universe has a sense of humor. It just prefers deadpan. The first hour was normal. Cornhole, burnt hot dogs, someone's Spotify playlist swinging from 80s to emo with no warning. I chatted, laughed, and only flinched once when a song from our first road trip came on. Then Ryan wandered over while Jenna was inside. "Hey man," he said, performing casual like it was community theater. "We good?" I looked at him the way you look at a piece of modern art you don't understand. "We don't have a problem," I said. "We also don't have a relationship. Enjoy the party." He wanted a confrontation. I gave him a boundary. He drifted away, bored. Priya came out with a fresh drink and exhaled. "She told people you were taking it hard," she said quietly. "I told her you were taking it seriously, which is more dangerous." I laughed. "Tell her I'm not auditioning for a redemption arc." The reveal didn't happen on a projector or through a group text. It happened in details. I returned Jenna's monogram mug in a padded tote with an itemized list and photos. I forwarded her a PDF from the moving company, confirming the window she'd chosen. I Venmo requested the half of the utility bill from the month she still lived there, with a note, for accuracy. It was revenge by competence, not cruel, precise. Adults sign their names under numbers. On moving day, I took the morning off and stayed in my room while the movers workshopped Tetris with boxes. When they were done, I walked Jen out. She paused by my door. "You really aren't gonna fight for me?" she asked. Not mean, not sad, just genuinely astonished. I opened the door and showed her the neat shelves, the empty space where her plants used to sit, the vacuum lines like fresh snow. "I did," I said, "for 2 years." She nodded, swallowed, and left with a thank you that sounded like a receipt printer spitting out the final total. That night,
Ryan posted another patio picture, this time with 2 beers clinking on camera. I turned my phone face down and watched a bad action movie with my brother. The villain monologued. The hero waited, patient, until the speech was over, then pushed a button that ended the scene. It wasn't satisfying because of the explosion. It was satisfying because of the timing.
A month later, Jenna called. I let it go to voicemail. Her message was careful, like stepping on floorboards you know will creak. Hey, I think I made a mistake. Can we talk? I listened twice, then sat at my kitchen table with a yellow legal pad and wrote 2 columns, what I miss and what I don't. Under miss, I wrote her laugh when she's genuinely surprised, the way she color codes a calendar, how she always brings extra napkins. Under don't, I wrote being a placeholder, the way I had to earn what should have been given, how I need a break landed like a fire drill she pulled whenever the room got warm. I called her back the next day from a park bench where a dad was teaching a kid to throw a frisbee like it was a life skill. We made small talk. Then she said, I've realized I want to be with you. I just needed to see what else was out there to know. I let the wind talk for a second. I'm glad you figured it out, I said. That's honest. But I can't be the lesson and the prize. Silence stretched, thin but not fragile. So that's it? She asked finally. That's it, I said softly. If we ever cross paths and both of us are new people, we can see. But I'm not pressing pause so you can press play later. There was no screaming, no moral victory speech. She cried, quietly, and I stayed on the line until her breathing leveled. We wished each other well. I hung up and texted Priya a thank you for the truth when it mattered. That weekend, I went to a farmer's market, bought peaches, and made a cobbler that evaporated at a family dinner. My sister asked what I'd say to someone else facing a break. I thought about it and said, don't fight to be chosen by someone auditioning other roles. Choose yourself so well there's no room to be rented. A few months later, I ran into Jenna at a coffee shop. She looked lighter, or maybe I did. We said hi, like neighbors. She introduced me to a friend, not Ryan, and I introduced her to someone who'd started as a casual date and become the person who texts me pictures of dogs we might adopt. When I left, I held the door open. No bitterness, no nostalgia, just 2 people who survived each other's learning curve. On the walk back to my car, I passed a mural that said, "Let it be easy." I think that's the part no one tells you. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do isn't to fight for the old story. It's to accept the new one with grace, do your paperwork, and keep moving. Jenna once said she needed time to figure out what she really wanted. I took her seriously. I gave her the time. And I used mine to remember I was never a question mark. I was always an answer. She just wasn't the one who knew how to read it.